Sabi Sands, Greater Kruger National Park. My name is Steve Falconbridge. I'm joined on the vehicle by Senzom Keys. We are out on safari this afternoon. I'm not on foot. I am in the vehicle this afternoon, and we are out to search for everything wonderful and wild. We've got Taylor McCurdy. She's on foot. We've got Byron Serrao. He is heading down to a surprise that was found towards the end of the drive this morning. We'll see if he can find it. I won't say any more. And I might just go and check if Hukumuri is still in the same place. I'll just see if he's there, maybe get some afternoon shots. And please don't forget, this is 100% interactive. Send through your questions and comments. Hashtag Safari Live or follow us on the YouTube stream. Let us know what you would like to see. Any more questions you might have about individuals we might see today, or ecology in general, send them through. Tomorrow, being Monday morning, I'm going to be doing another medicinal plant segment in the morning, hence the name Medicinal Monday Mornings. Hey, Senzo. Yes, indeed. But as we do, we still want to check all the roads as we go, because you never know what might have been moving around during the daytime. Good afternoon, my name is Byron, and on camera with me is Seb this afternoon, and we are in search of more predators. We had a wonderful morning. In fact, we had that male leopard, Hukumuri, high up in a marula, feeding on the warthog that he killed yesterday morning. I think he's still going to be in that area, but it's been very, very hot, and I'm assuming that he's going to be resting in the shade somewhere. We're going to go and have a look around for some other predators, and I think we'll keep it as a surprise. I'm hoping that we have some luck with these ones. So you better stay tuned and see what lies in store for us this afternoon on our Sunset Safari. Hope you are all having a wonderful, wonderful weekend. It's been great for us here in the bush. We've had a lot of predators around. We had 2 leopards yesterday. We had leopards this morning. We had lions this morning with Taylor. So it's all happening, which is great. Now, speaking of Taylor that had the lions this morning, she's walking around this afternoon, so I wonder what her plan is for bushwalk today.
Now, Fergus pointed out a murder, a crime scene, straight off to start the Sunset Safari on this bushwalk. I have absolutely no idea whose hair it is. It could be, I don't know, an antelope of sorts, I assume. Maybe from a leopard. Anyways, my name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Ferg Clark. And Rexon is assisting us. There he is in the distance. And, yeah, very exciting stuff. So I'm not really sure what happened here and when this happened, because you know what it might be? It actually might just be, no, it's not dung. At first I thought maybe it was just dung, but it isn't. It's something has been plucked. Yeah. There's a bit of a, oh, no, maybe it is dung. Maybe it's very old and we just didn't notice it. I'm trying to work out why we haven't seen this before. Oh, well. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Probably from the colour of the hair, it looks more bushbuck than it does impala. It's not quite sort of red like an impala's coat. It looks a little bit darker. Oh well, we'll never know. We will keep going though. So our plan for this afternoon is, if you were watching the Sunrise Safari, you would have known that we found the Styx Pride, thanks to Aubrey and William of Juma for tracking them down, which was very, very nice. Nice to see them. So what Rexon and I thought is, because they've been sitting out in the sun for most of the morning and we didn't see them move to the shade, it's quite a sort of treacherous area to get in with a vehicle. So why don't we go in on foot, and we'll have lots of little, I suppose, high areas to sort of stand on, look down, and try and find the lions again. So that's really going to be our plan, is to head that way and hopefully find a feline surprise. Now, I know that Steve said he was going to be heading towards Hukumuri to see what he's doing, and I bet he'll be sound asleep.
might be sound asleep. We had a bird a moment ago, and he heard the words asking for a link, and off he went. Was a lilac-breasted roller, folks. We thought we'd try and frame him up for you. I know it is many people's favorite bird. It is the prettiest, colourful bird in the area, and statistically, I think the most photographed bird in the Lowveld. They do like to pose. They do like to sit there and watch and just wait. They are ambush specialists, so they just sit and wait for insects, and then they fly down, land on them, and grab them. But he did not want to stay, I'm afraid. He moved off. Hello, Dale. Do you want to know changes we can see in ecosystem with regards to changing winter weathers? Well, the leaves fall off the trees, the grasses wither and semi-die, but the roots of a lot of them are still intact and are waiting for some rainfall. A lot of ground cover will be covered on the ground. It's not as hot this time of year, so you don't have as much solar radiation as you have in the summer months. There's less erosion because there's no water. And a lot of the insects are pretty dormant this time of year. So from a change point of view, it's that sort of, we get the wet season and we get the dry season. And the wet season is, as it says, it's wet, and the dry season is dry. So you see a difference in, oh, there we go. That roller was playing quite, oh, he's not going to stay. Is he? Is he going to stay? Seds? Is he going to stay? No. That roller was flying around. So changes really are the fact that the trees and the animals have to adapt to lack of moisture. The trees are well adapted. They've been doing it for a long time. But extensive droughts, meaning that dry seasons that get longer and longer, and when the rainy season comes, if it's less, then we get periods of drought, and that can lead to a destruction or sort of an increase in the woody component, meaning the trees. Because the trees have access to water, generally because of the water table, and grasses don't. So long periods of drought actually lead to increase in bush encroachment. But it's a natural occurrence. We go through these cycles of wet and dry periods. And what the droughts do provide is they provide harsh conditions which then enable only the strong animals to go forward. When we talk about the herbivores here, the leopards and lions seem to do very well in droughts, and hyena because there's so many animals dying due to drought, but natural selection, the weak fall down and succumb. There we go, Sens. He wants to be photographed now. He wants to be. He's asking for it now. There is the lilac-breasted roller doing his very nice casual flight. Oh, don't go to the sun. You're going to blind everybody. Yes, he's going to turn. Oh, that's very bright. Watch out for the sun. There's the lilac-breasted roller. It's difficult to view now because he's right in the sun. The sun just melted his wings. Oh, what have you got there, Sens? Sens doesn't know what it is. Excuse me, I'm going to just quickly grab it. I've got a little branch here. There's a funny little stick-like insect. So I'm going to use a stick that I've harvested here to get him without having to touch him. We don't want to harm these little guys. Let me just jump out. He's a very funny-looking guy. I think I actually had one of them a little while ago. Can you get him on the chair, Sens? It's a bit hard, eh? Yeah, we'll just get him on the stick. Whoa, my word. Did you see that? I wonder if it... that. He jumped enormous distance. Well, that stick was spring-loaded. I'm glad I wasn't looking at it. Or, well, it didn't jump towards me. I think I would have lost an eye. Well, he was camouflaged, and he can jump like an absolute machine. Well, I don't know what it was. Jumping stick. Insect. Thingy. Did you get it at all, Sens? You tried. It was a bit too close to the camera. Sorry, folks. Well, on we go. So, yeah, the dry conditions just make things more difficult for the animals. But then, as I said, the predators generally do a lot better. Well, I think some of the predators do a little bit better in winter. I wonder. I don't think so.
I think that's what Taylor said. Now, I'm looking for predators, as I said, and hold on. I think we've spotted something. Seb, are you right there? Seb, is that right? We've got them. Oh, look at this. Exciting, exciting. Hold on. Have a look, have a look. Let me try to squeeze through here quickly. Actually, this is a little bit better over here. Have you all guessed what it is that I'm trying to show you? I wonder if you have. And they're sitting up. This is exciting. Seb, have you got a clear view through there? Is that all right? Look at this. We found some cheetah. Isn't that amazing? Now, I think this is the female with the two youngsters. They're just lying, enjoying the shade. Oh, wonderful. Full bellies. Sure, really, really full bellies. That's perfect. It's still really nice and warm. And I think perhaps that is why these cheetah haven't moved. Full bellies, hot day, and just lying, enjoying the shade. How wonderful is this? The last time I saw cheetah on Safari Live must have been, when last were we allowed to drive on cheetah plains? We used to see those males down on Mala and Cheetah Plains on that boundary in those big clearings. That's the last time I saw cheetah on Safari Live. So this is wonderful. I'm so glad. Isn't this amazing? Now, Taylor, I think, got an update from someone this morning that said they had seen these cheetah cross onto our property, and that's how we kind of knew where to start looking. And I took a chance by coming here. Thought they might be still in this area because of the temperature and the day that we've had. I'm going to try reposition for us. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a better view. Hold on a second. And they seem nice and relaxed, which is wonderful. Also, always got to be sensitive. Remember, with animals when you're viewing, especially cheetah and these ones do seem relaxed, but we don't want to cause them to feel any sign of distress. There we go. That's actually a nice view of our park over here. And we've got a bit of shade. Seb, is that all right? Am I out the way there? There we go. Wonderful. Dale, you asking what is the name of the cheetah in Shangaan? So in Shangaan, and I hope I say this correctly, it's a pity we didn't have Mr. Henry here to help us with the pronunciation, but it is Shikankanka. Shikankank. That is cheetah in Shangaan. And I'll have to ask James if I'm saying it correctly. Maybe he will agree or disagree, who knows, but I think it is Shikankanka is the correct way of saying it in Shangaan. How beautiful are they? I really enjoy these cats. They're very different to the larger cats like lions and leopards, and we don't see them very often, so it is always special. And to see 3 of them, a female with 2 youngsters, that is just wonderful. As I said, their bellies look fairly full, so perhaps they had a kill early this morning or even yesterday. I'm I'm sorry, Lou. Could you just repeat that? I lost you there a little bit. What did Sky say? Yes, Sky, you're right. I definitely am going to enjoy spending time with the Cheetah family. Wow, I must be honest, we've had a lot of luck, haven't we, the last 2 days with big cats. We've seen all of them. We've had lions, we've had leopards, we've had cheetah now. This is really special and unusual. So, whoever has wished us luck for a big cat weekend, it's worked. Now, Tiffany, cheetah cubs, they'll stay with their mother. It depends. Sometimes I have seen females staying with the mother for longer periods of time. Males tend to form coalitions, so they'll be not necessarily pushed out, but or to an extent, yes. The female will say, right, it's time for you to go off on your own. And she will usually push them out at about 1.5 to 2 years old. Very similar to that of leopard, from what I've seen. And occasionally it may be a bit sooner, but usually that is the time it takes for these big cats to become independent. So once they reach that age, they may get pushed out, and the males often form coalitions, have a number of males together. And the females may hang around with the mother for a while, then often they tend to move off on their own. Now, I know most of you have seen a lot of cheetah up in the Masai Mara, and I would guess that they definitely have seen more family behavior from the cheetah in terms of when the youngsters move off, how they at what age they become independent, and the kind of the family structure of the cheetah. I haven't seen too much of it, working down here in the Sabi Sands. We've seen the odd cheetah come through, the odd male that sets up territory and moves around by himself for quite a while. And I've seen a female cheetah once or twice with 3 youngsters. That was a few years ago. But haven't really seen coalitions. I did see cheetah last week on Londolozi. 2 young males, not sure where they came from, but there were 2 young males that came through and have been seen on Londolozi. So I think they're potentially looking to find a territory for themselves. They did still look really young, not quite dominant and completely full grown just yet. Oh, this is really, really amazing and so great. I'm going to sit here for quite some time and watch these cheetah. But now Taylor's challenged herself to a Sisyphus challenge. Now that just sounds dangerous, Taylor.
It's probably going to be dangerous. There might be blood, so if you're squirmish, look away now. I'm just joking. Might be a little bit of blood in case I prick my finger. Anyways, when was it? I'm just trying to remember the day that Steve decided to try and pick as many leaves as he could from a Sisyphus or a buffalo thorn, and he challenged me, and then I was cold, so I decided not to. However, warmed up, and I've been stretching, and I'm ready to take on the challenge. Get the fingers loose. That's my tactic. Okay, I'm going to time myself. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to have to... How am I going to do this? Because I'm going to lose time. Should I go? Ready? Are you ready, Ferg? Are you sure? Here we go. 1 minute. I've already... Oh, no. What a disaster. I've got 2. Oh, it's so quick. 3. I'm going to drop them. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, this is hard. 9, 10, 11, 12. Ow. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 25, 26, 27. This is really difficult. 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. What's the timer on? Why has it gone off here? 14 seconds. Where was I? 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Well, it was a crinkly one. We won't count that one. 41, 42, 43, 44. 44 leaves. Yoo! Here's the timer. Kids, don't try that at home, because I totally did get some prickles there. Oh, Steve apparently only got 23. Oh. No, he lost the alpha male challenge. He's now lost the Zizzy Fush challenge. We're going to have to, see if he'll be able to redeem himself a little bit later. We'll think of another challenge that he can take part in. Seeing as though I accepted, we will give him another chance, says Ferg. We'll see. So, help me. Maybe you can all help me. Shall we do this? Send some suggestions through on what challenge you think Steve and I could do. Hashtag Safari Live. And yeah, it's just a fun thing. And it brings a bit of entertainment to the drive. That was really sore. I don't understand how Inyalas do it. And kudu, and bushbuck, and even impala, giraffe. Wow. Yeah, I got pricked quite a few times. It's, it makes you itch too when they do prickies, and I've got itchy hands. But anyways, all for science. But that was quite cool, and 1 minute, goodness gracious. And Inyala probably would have been able to have eaten much more than any of those leaves that I could have picked. Wonderful. Anyway, speaking of Steve, let's go across to him and see what he thinks about me beating him.
Well done, Taylor. Well done. Now that your hands are defrosted in the afternoon, you were able to pluck off more leaves than I did. How many did you eat? Interesting. Well, in the afternoon, when my hands are nice and warm, maybe I should have another go and see how we do. I think, actually, secretly, folks, she's been practicing that technique since I challenged 3 days ago. 3 days, folks. Can you imagine? Anyway, we are with Hukumuri, the very flat and full leopard from the west. He is, I have no idea where his bacon is. I have a very strong feeling it is all finished. And he is as flat in the grass as can be. So we're probably not going to stay with him for too long in the heat of the day. I don't think he's going to do too much in the next hour or so, at least. With a full belly, I think the only thing he'll do is as it starts to cool down, he'll find his way to go and have a drink somewhere. He doesn't have the ability to carry water with him like we do. And I'm glad that he moved when we got here, because I don't know how we would have found him very easily in this long grass. He's moved off quite a few meters sort of west from where I had him yesterday. For those of you who missed the show yesterday, Hukumuri killed a baby warthog yesterday morning. Dale, that's a great question. I think what your question really relates to when you say wild animals and parasites versus domestic cats and parasites is, where do the domestic cats come from originally? And the parasites that they're picking up are natural to the area that we're in. And the domestic cat is probably not natural to that area. So the parasites that they are accumulating, they haven't evolved to cope with. Whereas out in this environment, the parasites have evolved with the animals that have lived here for a very, very, very long time. But most people that have got a dog or a cat somewhere in the world, that dog or the cat has been bred and come from somewhere. It's not a naturally wild animal anymore that has evolved in a landscape, parenting and upbringing and selective, natural selection and a population of animals and then one dying and one surviving, whereas out here natural animals are coping with disease, and those who don't cope, they die. That is essentially what happens. So the natural immunities here develop over a very, very long time, just like some people in Africa have got immunity to a lot of tropical diseases, but you come over here, and if you're coming from the States or anywhere like that, the amount of inoculations you have to do before coming, if you've done it, is quite scary. That's because you don't have the natural immunity to do it. But if you were born here and bred in these areas, then generally, if you're still alive, well, then something's working. If it hasn't worked, well, then it's just the natural ability to survive in an area. And unfortunately, domestic dogs and cats didn't evolve where we have them all over the world. And you'll get parasites in and around there that are transmitted by the natural occurring animals. And like, for example, in South Africa, a lot of our dogs struggle with biliary, tick-borne disease, and they can kill them very quickly if you're not careful. It's not that the dogs are weak or anything, they just don't have the natural sort of ability to deal with that. Lou said her dog had biliary. Did it pass away, Lou? Sorry if it did. You can treat it if you pick up the symptoms very quickly. The dog's mouth, the gum goes from pink to grey very quickly. Very quickly. Yeah, so Lou's dog is fine. That's great. It does happen. They get very sort of lethargic and their behavior changes. And if you just check their gums and you see the gums gone from pink to grey, then take them straight to the doctor, the vet. It's quite easy to sort out, I believe. But that's just immunity, just immunity over time, tolerance to things. Antidotes develop in populations, and the weak ones will get fed out of it or die out of the population, and the strong ones keep going. That's natural selection at its absolute pinnacle. Okay, well, I don't think Byron is very far away, but I think his cats are also quite full and also quite flat.
Well, it looks like it. If you have a look at that belly, you can see that they really are quite full. See the panting slightly. Now, that is usually associated with two things. One, when the cats are hot, they pant to cool themselves down. So breathing increases airflow through the body and helps cool the temperature down a bit. And then when they're full, if they have full bellies, big cats tend to pant, or predators tend to pant. It's a bit hard to breathe with full bellies. I kind of feel like that after a big meal sometimes. Stace, you wanted to know why cheetahs purr and lions and leopards don't. Stace, I must be honest, I don't know. I think there are a number of theories behind it, but I think one of the main reasons is the voice box. So the voice box is quite different. If you think of the lions and leopards and the big cats that are in the Panthera genus, they've got that I think it's called the hyoid bone. It's kind of loose cartilage in the throat that vibrates, that allows them to roar. So the sound that lions give off and leopards, it's known as a roar. And it's a very deep sound. I mean, lions give that beautiful roar, and leopards give that rasping sound, that sawing sound that we actually got to hear yesterday with Taylor. Now, the cheetah, I don't believe, have that. And they generally have very softer calls. But I'm not sure what it is actually that causes them to purr. But you are right in saying that these are the only big cats that purr. The other big cats do not. They do not purr. And I've heard the purr a number of times from cheetah before. And it does sound like a large house cat purring. It's the best way I can describe it. But I know there are a number of theories behind it. I think there are 3 theories behind it, if I'm not mistaken. I just can't remember. I'll try to find out. But I think, I don't know. I think the one was there was like a false vocal cord theory. If I remember correctly, something about the vocal cords or false vocal cords. A soft palate is generally, or a theory that they've got a softer palate than some of the other big cats like lion and leopards. I'm trying to think, what was the other one? Also, I think there was another theory, and this one for me seems the most plausible, is that the cheetah, obviously, they do tend to overheat quite quickly. So they've got, generally they've got a fast blood flow flowing through their body to help cool themselves down. If you see cheetah, when they chase, they only chase for short periods of time, and then they've got to stop because they overheat very quickly. And that blood flow, I think, helps try to cool them down. They breathe quite heavily, and that's to cool the blood down. And I think there's a turbulent blood theory. So the constant moving through smaller veins and arteries, I think that also has got something to do with the purring. I stand to correction. These are theories that I've heard over time, but I don't know. And how do we prove it? I'm not sure. But it'll be interesting. Maybe some of you back at home have heard some theories or can prove some of these theories or give us better information on them. But it's interesting to talk about these things. And I don't know, I've never found anything substantial to let us know why they purr and the other big cats don't. But I do think it's got something to do with the voice box and the vocal cords, that they are able to purr and those big cats aren't. Gary, yes, cheetah are particularly rare in this area. We don't see them very often. Now, the one reason for that is this isn't typical cheetah terrain. I mean, if you think of East Africa and the plains of the Masai Mara and the Serengeti, and those huge open plains, that's ideal for cheetah. They're like big open spaces where they are able to view their prey from long distances away, stalk closer, and then run and chase them down, using their speed. Now out here, it's thicker bush. It's typically not cheetah terrain. However, we do still get them moving through the area, and sometimes from here into Kruger and vice versa. There are big plains up in Kruger, and also within the Sabi Sands. There are a number of large clearings and plains between Singita and Londolozi in the south. There's huge open areas, and that's generally where I've seen most of the cheetah in the Sabi Sands, has been out there. So there are areas, and occasionally they'll move from one area to another. Now, this family, in fact, James Richard, you gave us some information about this. Thank you very much, James. You were saying that this family is a family that comes from Thorny bush, which is quite interesting. So they've moved from from where they were originally. Now, Thorny bush is not too far from us. It's that way. Yes, Thorny bush is that way. And one of my friends actually works there. So I should ask him about these cheetah. He's been working there for about 10 years. Nick works at Royal Malawan, and he's seen a lot of cheetah in that area. So this female is apparently an old female, and she hasn't had much success with cubs before. But she's got these two, a male and a female cub, and they were born last year sometime. So that's great information. Thank you very much. So hopefully she has luck with these. But apparently the litter was originally 5 cubs, and unfortunately now there are only 2 left. But that is the way it goes at times with other predators like lion and leopard around. The cheetah do not do very well. That's one of the other reasons why they are quite rare. So hopefully these two survive right up into adulthood and continue moving through the areas, and we see them a little bit later. Well, they seem to be resting, but we're not going to move anywhere. We're going to stay here, spend some time with them. But Taylor is staring at a man on the moon.
The Easter Bunny, Byron, the Easter Bunny is in the moon. That's what we see in South Africa, or at least that's what I was taught. Take it or leave it. Anyways, it's a very, very pretty view. Now, sadly, it's been a bit slow on the bush walk in terms of insects and things, which I'm surprised by because it's such a warm day. I thought we would have seen plenty. And even though the insects haven't really been out, we did see some leopard tracks. They look like female leopard tracks that have come walking from this block over here. I wonder who it could be. They look like they're over the top of this morning's vehicle track. So I think, this is what I think had happened the early hours of the morning. The Styx Pride made their way onto the property, into an area where Tandy likes to leave Kalamba. Now, yesterday morning I lost Tandy and Kalamba's tracks pretty much in the same spot that she normally drops her, which is near those lines, just off Central. And I thought, okay. And then we picked up Tandy's tracks and she'd be on a bit of a walkabout. Then, this morning, they obviously come out of that block. I said to you that Kalamba was playing on the road and then all of a sudden picked up Tandy's tracks, so she came to collect them. And they walked along Central, and I didn't know if they went south or if they had gone further east. I think that they may have gone further east and, like I said, into that block where it's very, very dense, because that would make sense if Tanya has then walked this way. If she's taken some animal pathways, it would have been fine, and she would have, covered a bit of ground quite quickly. And back towards Giraffe Dip on Central, right down sort of between Vulture's Nest, there are lots of impala, lots of warthogs, lots of prey species in this sort of area. So that's what I think has happened. But we're still on our way towards the lions. We're trying to march because, as you know, with it being South African school holidays, it's busy. It's busy on the reserve. So we need to try and get into the sighting before we get a lot of traffic. And because as soon as if one vehicle approaches and that throws us all off, we can't go back in there again. So we're going to have to just keep marching and just get as close as we can. So we are going to walk a little bit faster. We're going to use the roads because we do want to check that they haven't moved. And then hopefully we'll be able to get on in there and figure out where on earth they have been laying about. But because not many people, well, there were some guys that went to the lions this morning, but not a lot of people. There's still plenty more. Everyone was very excited about the cheetah towards the end of drive. So that was really cool. I went in and we managed to find them. Probably about 20 minutes after drive finished, they were just relaxing in the shade. So maybe Byron will get lucky and be able to see them sort of on the go. But we're just going to carry on marching for now until we get a bit closer. We've still got a little while to go. It seems as though Steve hasn't got his patient pants on today, and I don't blame him, because when Hukamori sleeps, he sleeps soundly and doesn't really show himself. So let's go and see what his plans are next.
Yes, well, I thought about staying. He had a belly twice as big as he did yesterday. And I didn't think he was going to do anything for a very long time. So we've decided to move off. And there we go. How's that sense? We've decided to move off and we're going to go in search of other things while we wait, because I have no doubt Hukamori is not going anywhere. While we go, we'll spot our little vulture family. A white-backed vulture nest sitting here in the tree. A beautiful marula tree, that is. And they've been here for over a month and a half now, I'm thinking. So I'm going to assume that the eggs are nearly there. Whenever we come, we find just the one sitting on the nest. Just the one. The other one out, no doubt, in search of food, which it'll bring back in its crop for the male or the female. There's no real. Either one will do the brooding. It gives the other one a break to go out and see some friends and go see the sights. But talking about vultures and specifically today with this weather, there's very warm wind, very dry, and this is the kind of weather that can lead to very sort of dangerous and out of control fires. So we were talking this morning about fires, and it's important. Most areas will be on high alert in areas like this, in days like this, because when it's a dry wind in the afternoon, the temperatures are quite warm. Fires can burn pretty hot, and very difficult to control them if they do get out of control. And this would also be perfect weather for Vulture to be soaring, looking for food. So they'll be out there. They enjoy these sorts of weathers, and also being that high up in the tree, they're completely free from any damage by a fire. But maybe a little bit hot to be sitting on the nest in the sunshine. Willow, that's a great question. I've heard them a few times. I haven't seen one in some time. But they have an enormous area that they move through, and ground hornbills have got a pretty specific habitat type when it comes to nesting. They like big cavities for nesting, so really big jackalberry-like trees, and that is one of the reasons why their numbers are decreasing, because they require a really, really big area for food and foraging. They'll walk through this entire area, no problem, picking up anything that they can, and then they need to go back to those roosting sites and nice riverbed areas. And I don't know if there's one recorded in the area. Sense, have you seen a nest site in your time, ground hornbill? No, they are definitely we're on the decline. In EWT, Endangered Wildlife Trust, has been putting a lot of effort in to their reclamation, because the reserves could be bigger. I know the Kruger Park, Greater Kruger Park, is pretty big, but it could still be bigger. And outside is agriculture, and that is habitat loss. So it's not the same as it was before. But it'd be nice to find you one of the magnificent 6 birds. But we leave this male or female whiteback vulture with a very nice view that they have up in the tree. And we're going to go and do what we normally do on an afternoon like this. We go check the watering holes. And then at some point we're going to follow up on the sticks or hukumuri. All depends. We got spoilt for choice this afternoon, aren't we? Spoilt for choice, but there's no rush. We can just take it really, really slow.
Now, the cheetah have not moved yet. And just as I thought, the same with Hukumuri, with it being so hot, and now leopard's resting and lying in the shade there. But you know what, it's cooling down. And I think if we're patient, we're going to see these cheetah will move fairly soon. Excuse me. I'm just listening to radio quickly. All right. So I've just been trying to read up a little bit on this purring theory, or the theories of purring and that. And I think the one theory, and the one with the blood, I don't think that makes sense. Now that I think about it, I don't think so. With the blood passing through and causing turbulence around all the main arteries and that being or causing the purring. Because if you think cheetahs, and I've seen it before, where they'll just stand up and then move past one another, lie down, rub up against each other and purr. It's definitely a contact call of sorts. And I think the one that's it's the soft palate theory, that makes sense to me. So basically what it is the theory is that they've got these voluntary skeletal muscle fibers in the back of the palate, in the throat, and they can basically voluntarily flutter, for lack of a better word, these flaps at the back of the palate, and that is what causes the purring, and that makes sense to me. I hope it makes sense to you back home, but so it's basically like little flaps at the back of the throat that they are able to flutter, and that causes the purring. And I think those bigger cats in the Panthera genus, I don't think they have that. They've got these big, thick voice boxes, bone-like structures, and a lot of cartilage around there that causes them, or gives them the ability rather, to roar, whereas these cheetah do not. So I hope that answers some of your questions. But yeah, it's very interesting. It's nice to to read up and try get information. Again, these are theories. I don't know of any that have been particularly proven, but that one sounds the most plausible to me. Zach, I have never seen a king cheetah. Not at all. It's incredibly rare. And for those of you asking what is a king cheetah, actually, let me try to show you quickly. I'm just going to turn around, sorry, so I can face you. It's a little bit easier for me to show you in the book. Now, the king cheetah is basically a recessive gene which comes through now and then in the cheetah, and it gives them very different markings. Now let's see if it is here. I hope so. There we go. It is. There is a picture of a king cheetah. Is that all right, Seb?
Yeah, that's
Oh dear. Excuse me. Sorry. Sorry everyone. I'm allergic to cats. No, I'm joking. That's a beautiful king cheetah. Now, this recessive gene causes this blotching along the cheetah, not the prominent spots that we're used to seeing. But look at that. Isn't that phenomenal? Now, this is a very rare gene. It is not something that is seen in the wild very often. That's normally what a cheetah looks like. Zach, I have heard, and a few years ago, there was a king cheetah spotted, wild king cheetah cub that was spotted in Thorny bush, which is that area, I said, just north of here, not too far. So there was one spotted there. I don't know of any other sightings of king cheetah in the wild recently in the last few years. There have been a few in captivity. There have been some king cheetah in captivity, and I know Hoedspruit had has got a cheetah facility. Seb, have you been there? Do you know where it is? I don't know. There's a couple. There's a Hoedspruit Rehabilitation Center, and they've got some cheetah there, and I think they had some king cheetah. But in terms of the wild, no. And I've never seen one. But beautiful, aren't they? Really amazing. It's amazing how you get these recessive genes which come through now and then. So it's an underlying gene which can potentially be transferred to offspring and may come through now and then. Another example of that is the lions, white lions. Now the Timbavati, which is also just north of us, is known for the white lions, and that's the area that it originated from, the white lions of the Timbavati. And there were in fact cubs born, white lion cubs born, earlier this year, a few months ago. But I haven't heard anything recently, and I haven't seen any signs of them. I don't know if they're still alive. Perhaps those cubs didn't make it, unfortunately. But there were some white lion cubs born, and that recessive gene is still in that area, found in that area in the prides of lions. Oh, wow. Now this is exciting. We've got these cats, but Taylor has got cats on foot.
Now, they haven't actually moved very far at all, but we're with the Styx Pride now. They have seen us. They've also heard us. We haven't been very quiet as we've been walking around, firstly, because when you're crunching around on the grass, it makes quite a bit of noise, and in winter, it's sometimes hard to, of course, walk so quietly. There's not many animal pathways here where we are right now. So they've seen us. The whole pride is fairly spread out. They did move into the shade. They moved just a little bit further down. And, we're quite far away from them. I mean, we're probably about 80 to almost 100 meters away from these lions through the drainage line, through almost two little divots, I suppose. So they don't feel too threatened by us at all, because they're so far away. But they are going to watch us. And so there's no point to try and hide away, to pretend like they don't know we're here. But you can just see the one for now, but the rest are all laying about. Like I said, they're not a very, very nice view at all. So we won't stay here very long. We'll call Steve into the sighting. we wanted to come and try and relocate on foot. It's often easier to do that and then call a vehicle in, especially in a treacherous area like we've got at the moment. It's not the easiest sort of place to navigate, not even with our small cars. So that's very nice, very cool to see them. And interesting to see that the sticks are also relaxed on foot. Perhaps that's from, I suppose, being tracked by many, many other safari guides and their trackers, trying to find them. Although, I haven't seen too many prides and lions that run away. In Eastern Cape, the lions used to run away, but we didn't also walk them very often. It's exceptionally dense then. You don't do a lot of bushwalks. But yeah, this is walking central, and probably the best place to do walks. Awesome. Very, very nice. But we won't hang around here much longer. Like I said, we'll call Steve in so that he can come and view the Styx Pride. Renate, so we just chatted about how far I was from the lions. I said about 80 to 100 meters or so, we're at a fair sort of distance. And so I said, they've seen us now, they know we're here. We don't need to hang around for hours and hours. We can carry on and we can actually move out and maybe head back towards the road and then get Stephen. It's not a very nice view, I'm afraid, and I don't think we'll go around to try and see them again. I don't want to chase them, I don't want them to move. So I'm very happy sort of with this approach that we've done, that we didn't really startle them. Even the youngsters are not too bothered by us at all. But yeah, very nice. Very cool to sort of see. Wonderful. So we're going to go wait in a spot where Steve can see us and try and guide him in the easiest way. Let's go see how far away he is.
Oh, well done, Taylor. You found the sticks again. What's that saying? Sticks and stones can break your bones. I think very true. Sticks could eat you. Sorry, be careful. Be careful with those lions. I'm on my way. We have just left Treehouse Dam. We're not too far away, but we will be there shortly. 5 to 10 minutes with traffic. My GPS says 5 to 10 minutes, light to moderate traffic this afternoon. Yes, I know, it is a Sunday. The traffic is mild on a Sunday. Monday, it's manic out here. Absolutely manic. I hope most of you out there know that I am joking. We have no traffic. Hello, AB. I'm sorry if I didn't add to what I spoke about. The Magnificent Six birds are basically, well, first of all, let's explain what they are. They are 6 large species of bird we find in southern Africa that are, and because they're large, they breed slowly, so they're on the decline. So number 1 would be the southern ground hornbill. Number 2 would be the Kori bustard, which is the largest flying bird in the world, or in Africa anyway. 3 is the leopard-faced vulture. They're losing nesting sites, and people think vultures are predators and they hunt their lambs, so they will poison and kill them. Saddle-billed stork, which we do see from time to time. I think there's only about 60 breeding pairs in the whole of the Kruger. That's got to do with habitat loss, again, because there's only so many natural places for them to not only feed but to breed. The Pell's fishing owl. There's only 2 major areas in the Kruger National Park you'll find them. That's up on the north in the Levuva River and on the Olifants River. Very, very special bird to see. It's a nocturnal owl and a fishing owl. It's enormous. It's bigger than the giant eagle owl. Very cool. They are very cool. Black eyes. I'll show you a picture shortly. And then that's 5. I said 6. There is a 6th one. It's not the ostrich, that's for sure. There's nothing wrong with the numbers of ostrich in the world. I'm pretty sure there's a 6. I'm pretty sure there's a 6, AB. I'm going to have to really think about it. It's going to come to me in a moment. By the way, this is where we were the other night with the hyena came charging out. We followed them with the FLIR camera. It was quite fun to watch as they disciplined one another. And I must, on air, apologize if I got some hyena facts wrong. Apparently there's been a lot more research that I was unaware of the differences in clan hierarchies, males and females. Stuff I'm going to put a lot more attention into. But I'm not going to be delving into that right now. What is a sixth bird? Okay, well, AB, I'm going to think very hard about the sixth bird. It's going to come to me in a flash. But in the meantime, let's go back to those very slow-moving cats, the cheetah.
Yeah, the not-so-slow-moving cats. Oh, these cheetahs still haven't moved, but you know, and that's I was mentioning this morning, in fact, how I notice a lot of the time people come out and they'll see animals like this, and then they decide, or the guide decides, okay, well, and this is, all of you know, this is my worst term ever. I'll never use it, and I really don't like it when people use it. I sometimes think the other guys tease me and use it on purpose. Flat cats. I despise it terribly. They're not flat cats, they're just resting. They're resting cats. It's a hot day, they're in the shade, and they're enjoying their rest. Now, a lot of the time, I've seen people come in, they see them, they go, okay, well, we can't really see them that well, and they move out. I honestly believe if you are patient and you sit with animals, you get the best sightings that you will ever have. And that is often the case with these predators. This morning we were very fortunate. We got to the male leopard, Hukumuri, spent some time with him, and we got him going up into the tree. And we had a wonderful sighting with him feeding up in that marula, and then eventually went down and lay in the grass. But we were, we've spent time there, and we sat and watched and saw amazing behavior. It looks like there are some other vehicles that are joining at the moment. So they will potentially try and see these cats. So it's going to be difficult, I think, for everybody else to see them, because it's not really an easy position to view them. We're very fortunate. We've got the camera and our French connection, Sebastian. Jason, if lions had to come across these cheetah, yes, there's a good possibility of them attacking and killing cheetah. Cheetah are really low on the predator hierarchy. So what happens is they do get threatened by larger predators like lions. And there's a good chance that if lions bump into them, they will potentially kill them. And mainly at night. You see, during the day, the cheetah will most likely see the lions, and they'll be able to run away. Don't forget, the cheetah is very, very fast, and it's able to get out of the way quite quickly. But they do have to be careful that they don't get surprised by the lions. It's actually a wonderful sighting, and so great that people who are on safari at the moment are able to see these cheetah. Matthew, yes, generally speaking, cheetah are definitely more solitary cats compared to lions. Lions are always, most of the time, are in prides. Now, I say most of the time because don't forget you have got males that tend to move around by themselves or in coalitions, and you can get coalitions of males of up to 4, 5, 6 males at times moving through the area. But remember, with the females, it's mostly prides. So the females with sisters and youngsters, and that's how the pride grows. Whereas cheetah, generally the females are solitary unless they've got cubs, as in this situation. And these youngsters are still relying on their mother. The male cheetah, however, do sometimes form small coalitions, 2 or 3 males together. But also, what I've seen a lot in the Sabi Sands is a lot of males moving around by themselves. We've seen solitary males too. So definitely more solitary compared to lions. Paula, the cheetah population in South Africa, I think, is pretty stable at the moment. I think with conservation and the protection of areas, hopefully the numbers will increase. But you see again with cheetah, a loss of habitat, very much like wild dog. Loss of habitat is the main reason for the numbers diminishing. So we do have to be very careful and aware, from a conservation point of view, with these cats. And also I think with other predator numbers increasing, but there seems to be a general balance. They've got to watch out for lions, even leopards. If there are a lot of predators around, then the cheetah, if they do hunt, a lot of their kills get stolen by other predators. They're very quick to be chased, or very easy to be chased off. Sorry, let me say that again. They easily chased off of kills. And if you think, I've seen vultures come down and chase a cheetah off a kill before, just to give you an idea. So, interesting. But I think the main reason for the cheetah numbers not being very good is loss of habitat. They also need large territories and open areas. But it seems to be pretty stable at this stage. So hopefully it continues so. And again, I always say this, but it's true. Tourism is a huge help for conservation. With people coming out on safari into Africa, not just South Africa, but into Africa, you promote areas or create areas or cause areas to continue looking after the wildlife, because people are coming out to see them. So it is very, very crucial. Beautiful view of the face there. You can see those very prominent black tear marks down the face. And Ruan, you're wondering why the cheetah have the tear marks. So the main theory behind that, Ruan, and again I say a theory because we don't know if it's definitely proven or not, but the theory is that, the cheetah are generally diurnal hunters. They hunt during the day, and especially in the harsh light of the day, those black markings help reflect light away from their eyes, so they are able to see a lot better when they are chasing down prey. So that is one of the theories behind the black markings. It makes sense if you think about it. If we think about lions, those white markings under the eyes, and that is to reflect light to the eye for their nocturnal vision. So it would be the opposite for diurnal cats like the cheetah. Now, speaking of lions, Steve has got a surprise for you.
I do. Hello, kitty. Here's a little youngster. It's my first time seeing the youngsters since, I think, the 3rd of January I saw them. The Styx Pride left a group of them just there on the side of the road down in the south, on the boundary with Little Gowrie, Lower Gowrie. And I remember seeing loads of little bundles of joy in the grass, and they've grown quite a lot. Well, this one has anyway. And the fur is not looking great, but I haven't seen them, and I've heard only stories. Every time people seem to talk about the Styx, all I hear people talking about is the mange. Shame. Maybe we can talk about something else today. Maybe it'll be a bit more positive for these guys. But they are very social. You see the rubbing. Child of the universe, very good question. The evoker males coming in from the north will have no doubt influenced some sort of dynamic within the area. Something I've seen through my own experience is lions with cubs, obviously cubs younger than 2 years of age. If they hear a male call, you'll often see the lions get up and walk in the opposite direction. Obviously, I'm sure lions can recognize each other's calls, and they know if those are the Birminghams or if they are a new male lion. And there's just a different power and frequency in it. And I couldn't tell you the difference between different male lions, but when that is the only language you speak, you learn how to speak it well. So I'm sure they're able to identify it. And I saw it many times in my guiding career with lions with their cubs, and they just get up and walk the other way. And because male lions announce themselves most of the time, it's quite easy to avoid them if you want to. The purpose of that is so that other males avoid them, so they don't need to fight all the time. And so it also helps for the females to avoid them. But every now and again, the males won't call, and they might end up finding a pride because they can smell them, and then that can lead to some turmoil. But seemingly the evoker males don't seem to be coming too deep into Djuma. They're just keeping to right up to the top, spending time in Buffelshoek and a lot of their time in Manuleti. There's a really, really big area up there, and I think there's more than enough area for them to cover. So, but definitely their presence will be a bit of a stirring pot, a bit of a melting pot of the dynamics in the area, affecting however the lions will move. And obviously these lionesses don't want to lose their cubs, so they will move in response to those males and generally away. So I have no doubt it does influence the movement of them. But now here they are in pretty much the heart of Djuma. So this is Tundi's turf. We've had the Nkuhumas not far from here, so they're right in the middle of sort of no man's land, so to speak. Taylor probably showed you this morning on the map where they are, I think. If she didn't, I'm more than willing to do so again. But we're kind of just a kilometre or so south of Buffelshoek Dam. I'm going to show you anyway. I just need to get it out of all my layers in my bag. It's in here. In amongst layer after layer from that morning walk. Yeah, well, folks, you feel sorry for them, but it is part and parcel of being a lion, I suppose. And this is what they do. They scratch and they lick and they clean themselves, and it's normally what they do anyway. And the mange just makes it a little bit more uncomfortable, I suppose. Not going to kill them. If anything, their coats are actually looking quite shaggy. Maybe they've got their winter coat on. Okay, well, I found the map. And as soon as Sens is ready, I'm going to put it up on the dashboard. And we are about over here.